Welcome to today's Explainer. We are going to do a complete forensic breakdown of a massive global pushback happening in the tech world right now. It's a fascinating, rapidly unfolding situation, and it's catching the attention of literally millions of people worldwide.
So let's just dive right into this pretty jarring premise. For years, we were told that AI was here to solve humanity's absolute biggest challenges, right? Lofty goals like curing cancer or completely fixing climate change. But recently, well, that narrative has totally flipped. The AI that so many of us rely on every single day is now being accused of enabling mass surveillance and autonomous warfare. Just imagine, you open your laptop to use a tool to debug some code or write a resume, only to realize the company behind it is actually helping scope military targets for the Pentagon. Crazy, right?
2.5 million. That is the staggering number of users who have joined what's now being called the Quit GPT movement. That's right. 2.5 million people actively abandoning the world's most famous chatbot. It is an absolutely massive global protest, and the momentum is really only building.
To understand why this mass exodus is happening, we need to trace the exact dominoes that fell to create this controversy. So today, we're covering the Quit GPT movement, the Anthropic Ultimatum, OpenAI's opportunistic pivot, the reality of AI in modern warfare, and finally, the massive public fallout.
Let's start with Section 1, the Quit GPT movement, and the massive shift in the narrative that kicked off in early 2026. We are literally witnessing the very first major cultural pushback against integrating artificial intelligence into global security. Organizers of the boycott are actually framing this as a global security hazard. Users are taking a hard stand against a tool they used to trust daily. What was once seen as this amazing tech that would empower all of us is now, well, in the eyes of these users at least, representing the ultimate corporate betrayal regarding surveillance and targeting. To understand the origins of this boycott, we have to rewind to a high-stakes ultimatum involving a totally different AI company. Section 2, the Anthropic Ultimatum, or the company that said no. And man, things escalated incredibly fast here. Back in July 2025, an AI company called Anthropic signed a huge $200 million deal with the Pentagon. But things went sour really quickly. The US government actually began demanding that Anthropic's model, Claude, be used for domestic surveillance. We're talking about analyzing the geolocation and personal financial data of everyday US citizens. By February 24th, this culminated in a literal government ultimatum. Comply by 5:01 p.m. that Friday or else.
So the crucial point here is that Anthropic's leadership flat out refused to cross that ethical line. Right at the deadline, CEO Dario Amodei issued a statement declaring they, quote, could not in good conscience acquiesce to removing safeguards against fully autonomous weapons and mass surveillance. They just totally rejected the domestic surveillance demands.
But taking that moral stand, it had an immediate, severe cost. Because of their refusal, Anthropic was officially labeled a supply chain risk. They were completely kicked out of government contracts, severing their ties with the defense sector entirely. And that brings us to a baffling turn of events in Section 3, OpenAI's opportunistic pivot, and the moment the mask slips. Literally just a couple of hours after that massive fallout between Anthropic and the government, OpenAI stepped right into the void. They took the exact same deal that Anthropic had just rejected, a deal that sources actually labeled as sloppy and rushed. And get this, it's super important to note that OpenAI had previously removed the word safety from its mission statement. For a lot of critics and everyday users, OpenAI completely reversing the ethical stance Anthropic had just taken, well, that was the moment their true intentions became crystal clear. $14 billion. That's a 14 with 9 zeros. That is the massive financial black hole behind this pivot. According to leaked internal documents, OpenAI was actually on track for a staggering $14 billion loss in 2026. So, sources suggest this controversial pivot wasn't really about a change in philosophy at all. It was a move of pure, unadulterated financial desperation. OpenAI risked running completely out of cash by 2027. By taking this military deal, they suddenly gained access to what some insiders actually called infinite money from the government. It essentially meant prioritizing their financial survival, even if it came at the heavy cost of completely sacrificing public trust. Next up, let's look at Section 4, AI in modern warfare. We'll see how science fiction is becoming reality, and exactly why the public is so terrified of this specific partnership. Because we aren't just talking about sci-fi movie theories anymore. The military is actively using artificial intelligence to navigate major geopolitical conflicts right now, today. The Pentagon has utilized AI to scope targets. It actually aided in the operation to capture Venezuelan President Maduro, and it's been actively deployed in conflicts between Israel and Iran. This is happening. And the terrifying jump in efficiency that really sparked this boycott comes down to this comparison. Under the old military method, it took 2,000 staff members just to handle limited manual analysis, which basically meant delayed intelligence. Now, using a hybrid AI method, it requires just 20 staff members to interpret 179 real-time data sources. It instantly outputs precise location coordinates. When OpenAI stepped in to supply the tech for this kind of system, they were signaling that their tools are now geared toward lethal targeting and surveillance, not just, helping you write polite emails.
And this brings up a massive, massive concern. Critics point out an inherent danger here, calling these AI models idiot savants, meaning they are systems that can convincingly manipulate language to look highly intelligent, but they fundamentally lack any real understanding of truth or reality. The argument from the boycott organizers is that this is absolutely the last thing you want controlling or even aiding potentially lethal weapons. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the public fallout, where the backlash totally explodes into the present day.
This backlash exploded almost overnight. A single Instagram post detailing the situation racked up over 36 million views. As we mentioned earlier, 2.5 million users have already taken action, canceling their paid subscriptions or signing a pledge to quit. But it wasn't just external. The calls were coming from inside the house too. Hundreds of internal employees revolted. Over 450 verified staff members from both Google and OpenAI signed an open letter demanding their leadership reverse course and stand with Anthropic's original ethical refusal. So why does this matter for you and me? It matters because it represents a massive paradigm shift in how we view our digital footprints. People are waking up to the reality that our user data isn't just being harvested to serve as targeted shoe ads anymore. Under these new military frameworks, that data, meaning your browsing history, your personal finances, is actively being weaponized to build comprehensive surveillance profiles. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to really chew on regarding the tech we use every single day. Is the Quit GPT boycott a necessary ethical stand that we all need to take? Or is the integration of AI into the military just an inevitable part of the future that we simply have to accept? It is a complex issue with profound implications for all of us, and it completely reframes how we look at the technology sitting in our pockets right now. Thanks for joining me to break this down today and keep exploring these big questions.